Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Speech Collective podcast. My name is David Rosen. Today, I'm excited to welcome Eli Harris, the CEO of Dr. Fluency USA, and someone whose path into the world of speech and communication is both unique and inspiring. He didn't begin his career in speech education. He started in real estate, building a strong foundation in business and leadership before discovering a deeper calling, helping people overcome speech impediments and build confidence in their voices. Since then, he has played a major role in growing Dr. Fluency into a program that has supported countless individuals in improving their communication skills and self-expression. What makes Eli's perspective especially powerful is his blend of entrepreneurial thinking and genuine passion for personal development. He brings both a strategic vision and empathy to his work, helping clients not only speak more fluently, but feel more confident in high-pressure situations and everyday conversation skills. His journey from real estate to speech advocacy reflects the core message of this podcast, that communication can change lives, and sometimes the most meaningful paths are the ones never originally planned. I'm looking forward to diving into this conversation. Eli, welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so let's start with this. Can you start by sharing a bit about your personal background and how you first got into speech and fluency work?
So I started my career years ago after going to school, getting an economics degree, accounting degree, got a CPA, got an MBA at night, and ended up in the world of business. But all those years, even though I became successful in director of finance, CFOs, and real estate companies, I realized I wanted to do something more. And I was watching my brother over the last 20 years develop a business in Israel called Fluentech. And I used to ask questions, what is it about? What does it do? And he said it has to do with this fluency, and I'm helping people people who stutter overcome their disfluency. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. That's cool. But I never really did much with it. And about 10 years ago, I started saying, well, how come you don't want to bring this to America? There are many people here in America with the disfluency who you can help. So we started talking about it back and forth for years, and I would visit his clinics in Israel and so on and so forth. And eventually we opened up the company about 2 years ago. You were one of our first clients.
Yes.
And the rest history, and that's the last 2 years.
Nice. Thank you. So what initially drew you to working with people who have disfluency?
Well, I didn't just decide to change my life at this stage of my life on something that I didn't believe in or didn't really investigate and spend many, many hours. So I spent many hours over the 5 years. Every time I was visiting, I would visit the clinics. So I would visit him when they were having groups there at night with many, many people who were improving their speech, who were speaking in groups. I went to many lessons where they were using the technology and learning how to use it. I went to evaluations where we would first meet new clients and sit through that. I met, even when people were just finishing the first part of the course, I sat through courses like that. So over the years, I really gained an understanding of the commitment and the work it took to become, better at it, or I would say not even better at it, improve your fluency.
Correct.
Because it's not an overnight thing. It's not a miracle. So when I saw the dedication and commitment people had to this, and then I saw by asking many, many questions to the people who were doing the course, I would ask them, how did it change your life? And it was so positive and so amazing. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And we can bring this to the U.S. And then the next stage was investigating a little bit more into the world of disfluency. And that was a totally different thing. I saw him really succeed there. And when I started investigating into what the current situation was in the world of disfluency, I found out that there was a method in the world today, more like an acceptance, that the way to deal with disfluency was acceptance, neurodiversity, and confidence. And I began to understand that they went that way because they didn't have the technology, the breakthrough technology that Dr. Fluency software offered. So this is what it was left with, to just have acceptance and confidence, which is a wonderful thing and does not in any way take away from putting both methods together? Why not improve your fluency? And then also, if you improve your fluency, and I talked to the people in groups, and they were amazed at how much fun they have now speaking. So by the fact that they were speaking and having fun, they accepted themselves more, the fact that they had a fluency. Then by that, they actually improved their speech better, and it was like a snowball. Everything just kept getting better and better for them. So one does not preclude the other. But what I found is that in the world today, one did preclude the other because nobody believed at all that it was possible. But and my understanding after all hundreds of diving online and talking to speech therapists, that this is what they came to the conclusion because they just didn't have a way to actually do it.
Yeah.
And once I realized that we can bring something like this to everybody, then we were hoping that people would begin to realize that improving speech is possible with hard work, which you know.
Yes.
A lot of hard work.
Many hours.
And the correct technology. Once you have correct technology in the world, like you can't see better if nobody invented glasses. Everybody'd be walking around blind. And even today, if you take off my contact lenses or zero glasses, correct, all of a sudden you don't see again. So it's not like, we agree, it's not like this fluency is ever going to disappear. There's no cure. There's no miracle cure. It's hard work. So, but we can give people a way to improve their fluency. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that we should just bring it to America. And then I did it.
Yes. So was there one specific moment that made you realize this is what I want to do for the next few years, for the foreseeable future? Yeah.
It probably happened when I really made my mind that I want to do it. Is I used to sit in David's offices in Israel, and every single time somebody would come in, every time I'm there, doesn't matter when, people with invitations to occasions in their life. And I always ask him, who are these people? They treat you like you're their, their rabbi, their priest, whatever, to invite them to occasions. Somebody who's like, he says, that one I treated 15 years ago. And he couldn't, at the time, he had something in his life and he couldn't get this one. He wanted to start dating and he couldn't date and he could never get out. And then he got married and he wants to invite me now to invitation. Another one, he was 13 years old and now he's 20-something, wants to invite me to his son's. And I'm like, but why? This is 10. He says, they basically always tell me that they feel that I changed their life in a way that they can never have done. And I said, nobody ever thanks me like this, ever. Nobody ever looked at me and said, thank you for helping me change my life because I did a really good financial report. That just doesn't happen. Okay, they'll look for the mistakes. Your boss will come to you, the CEO, whatever, and say, why didn't you do this? But thank yous, you don't get a lot. And I saw the stacks of invitations in his office, like stacks upon stacks of just 1 year. I'm like, and then I asked one of the boys in group, about it when he finished. And I asked him, who referred you to Dr. Fluency? He said, my mother's friend. So I said, did you thank her? He says, every day in my prayers, I say thank you to that woman for bringing me down. I say, okay, there's got to be something here. And I want to have something like that in America and build something so thousands and thousands, hopefully hundreds of thousands of people can improve their speech.
So when I spoke to your brother David on my first episode ever, he shared the founding story of Dr. Fluency. So from your perspective, what part of the journey stands out to you the most?
I think that he was willing to change his career, where he was a high-tech professional, traveling the world, to do something that he was not familiar with at the time. And he realized that himself that this was something to do. And he became an unbelievable expert. And when I saw how he transformed his life into helping people from just being a tech executive, it hit me that it was something special, that he wanted to do this. So if he wanted to do it, and he developed it into something amazing, where I'd say, what do we have? Almost 3,000 people probably that gone through this, that life's changed. I said that was very, to me, that's perspective of the journey, of his journey, because it was not easy at the beginning. He had to develop brand new software. He had to convince people that it's worth trying. And he didn't have a body of work like I have. I could point to hundreds and thousands of people and who was successful. He didn't have that when he first started. He just had a belief. So that part of his journey, the belief he had to have that he can turn this into something that would really, improve people's lives, that was special.
Okay, so transitioning a little bit to speech impediments and disfluency, what do you find most interesting or surprising about speech impediments and disfluencies?
I think that what I was really surprised by, because I didn't know anybody who really stuttered. I really did not have a disfluency. People stutter. It wasn't something in my immediate family. I have a family, I have a cousin, and so that was my only real contact, but not serious, real deep dive. And what I didn't realize how they're just like anybody else. It's just like glasses. One day you need glasses. One day somebody's vocal cords don't work, they lock up. It happens. There's a gene that goes haywire, a neurological problem, that's what it is. It's a physiological problem. It is not a psychological problem. And I didn't know this. I was new to this thing. And every person I met just amazed me more and more. Bright and lively. And once they gained control, their personalities even changed. And watching the personality change from somebody who was maybe a little closed to somebody who's open and speaking, even if somebody accepts themselves and they go out there with confidence, I even saw, and we had plenty of clients coming in, that I don't think that they were closed or not accepting or this. They were willing to go out and face life, but they wanted to just improve on it a little bit by speaking fluently. And I think you were like that. I didn't think that you were closed or anything like that. I thought that you were someone who just took it to the next level, to become, now speaking is fun and not a challenge. And that just was so eye-opening to me, because I realized that we're really helping everyday people just take another step in their life where it might have been harder. Not that they couldn't do it. I think everybody out there, a lot of them that I've met over the years, would succeed, many of them anyway. They didn't need me for that. But why not help them along a little bit if it's possible? And I found out it was.
Why do you think people seem fluent in more low-pressure situations than higher pressure situations? For example, when I was going through my speech troubles, I found it easier to communicate, let's say, with my parents compared to class presentations in school. Why do you find that to be? And is there a particular reason that you think that there is for that?
I think it has to do with anything that you have in your life that's stressful. I don't know about you, but when I have to give a speech in front of people, I'm stressed, it's harder, right? It's just a matter, stress puts more pressure on your body. You get more anxious. If you're sick, you feel worse when you're stressed, right? Arthritis, you feel worse in your joints when you're stressed if somebody has it. So when you have a condition that's a physiological condition that the twitches in your vocal cords lock up, when you're stressed, it makes it that much worse. So when you're going to talk to somebody new and you in your back of your mind feel, oh, I may block, it makes it that much more stressful. At home, with your parents, they blocked, you didn't block, no big deal. And then eventually it's kind of less, right? Because, So even with Dr. Fluency, that's one of the things we work on really hard at Dr. Fluency. We put you in stressful situations, real life situations if we can, as many as we can, while we're building the confidence in your speech and gaining control over your vocal cords. Our main goal is to help people gain control of their vocal cords. Because right now, your vocal cords control you, which is the example you just said. If you're more anxious, they'll take over. If you're not anxious, it's easier for you to think about what you need to do. So our goal is that it becomes second nature to know what to do. But that requires many hours of practice. And most people that I found, they want that, but the commitment to actually do it, that's where the balance is. And every single person that I have met in my couple of years here in doing this thing, and hundreds of people that did what was required, succeeded. No doubt. The problem is, everybody wants a miracle. So, miracle cure, that doesn't exist. Because then they go into a stressful situation and say to themselves, well, now I'm stressed. What do I do? And then they get stuck. But it shouldn't happen if they have the technique and the hours of practice to get by. Just like a piano player. He can play in front of his friends at home, probably easy. But if there's a concert and he wants to go and play in Carnegie Hall, you don't think that guy that in front of you and me, we can play easy already? He already learned the techniques. He knows what to do. But then he has to play in front of... He's going to practice for hundreds and hundreds of hours, even though you and I will look like he's crazy. Why does he need to practice? Right?
Yeah.
But that's his skill that he needs. With us, you and any other person who did Dr. Fluency program, their practice is what makes them perfect. And you have to be willing to do the work.
Okay, yeah, so you touched on this a little bit, but what do you personally see as patterns for clients who make the most lasting progress?
You're right, I did touch on it. Sorry, I went into your question.
No worries.
But yeah, that to me is all commitment. If you're committed to something in your life, almost anything you do, it really doesn't even have to be Dr. Fluency. I committed to get an MBA, and I worked all day and went for 4.5 years at night. Was it easy? Absolutely not. 4.5 years of my life running back and forth to trains and this and tests and forget how much it cost, right? And for what? For an ambiguous goal at the end, I may get a better job. This is not ambiguous. Your fluency improves, your life improves automatically, right? And then the acceptance and confidence and everything that we just discussed earlier all comes together like this. And now you're where hopefully where you want to go, right? That's the goal. This is where you want to be. This is where you are. So if you have that commitment and drive, you succeed. Now, with little kids, it's a little different, right? You have a 9, 10-year-old. Yes, they need commitment too. They want to really improve their speech or with Dr. Fluency, and they want to have to work with the tablet. But the parents have to have that same dedication, right? They have to sit with their son every day for a half hour. So it's not good enough just to have a child want to do this, right? Boy, girl, doesn't matter. One of the parents needs to take it. We have a 9-year-old who did this course, and he's already finished. When he came, he had a severe stutter, having a lot of problems. But his father was so dedicated. They worked every day for a half hour. He told me he would sit with him every day. He went to camp to sleep away, but he was like towards the end of the course. He drove up to camp to work with him 2 or 3 times a week. And the kid over the summer, he had a play, and he had a speaking part in the play. So he had a goal, and they achieved it, but with hard work. So you want to ask what it is, it's just like anything else in life. There really is no different. You want to succeed at anything. You want to be a good basketball player. You want to be a good computer technician. Anything you want to do in life requires a commitment that's unwavering. And I know that in my own life. When I wanted to be good at something, I put in the hundreds of hours, the thousands of hours of work. And if not. It's just simple as that.
Do you have one success story that really sticks with you until this day from the years of participating in Dr. Fluency?
Besides you?
Besides for me, but you could also mention a little bit about myself too.
Well, because I'll tell you too then. I remember first coming in, and you had a way of speaking like really quick, and then you get stuck, and then you couldn't speak. And I was like, I never met your disfluency. David said, see it all the time. Well, David's seen everything. And watching you work so hard and progress during those first few weeks, and then go to camp, and then come back, and then work even harder. And the way your stories from school, it just made us really proud. It was really good, and I know your parents were really proud too. So they saw how much commitment you put into it. But recently, we had one young man. He had 2 kids, and he came to us, and we did a questionnaire. And he said to me at the end of the questionnaire, Ellie, I didn't realize I avoided 95% of my life. I wouldn't do anything. It's like we ask questions. Do you avoid this? Do you avoid that? And I said, well, we'll see. And then 2 months later, he didn't do a half-hour a day, this young man. An hour a day, an hour and a half. Within a month and a half, and you know how hard that is, he finished all the first part of the course. And was practically speaking fluently. And then the groups and watching him progress. And then he calls me up. And this is one of the proudest moments I have. He says to us, I just had another child born. And I had a list of people to call, like 30, I don't know how many. Don't catch me on how many exactly. And I called every single one of them on the phone. And everyone on the phone asked me, is that you? You don't speak on the phone. He said, I never talked on the phone. I would let my wife do everything. And he did it all. He's in practice. And then later on, he said he did other things like that. And now people meet him. They don't know he was just like you. Nobody would know if you don't tell them. But that required commitment and hard work. And we welcome, the opportunity to share these stories with other people. They welcome it, like you'll welcome it here, and show that there isn't just one way. There's a combination. Let's make it all work. When you first came to group, people wanted to know why you were there. Like after you came back after your first year and you came back to participate once and be with part of other people and share your story with them and talk to them regular, they were like, and then you had to explain to them, listen, I was exactly the way you were a year ago.
Maybe even worse.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of understanding your personality and whether you want to put in the effort.
I know the Doctor Fluency course is not smooth sailing the entire time. There could be some lessons that you get stuck. There could be some words that you get stuck on. But when someone feels discouraged or stuck, how do you push them through that challenge?
We then become like kind of counselors, right?
Yeah.
You're like, you can do this. Look how you improved from the day you walked through the door to now. There's no such thing as smooth sailing. It's what you said. Everybody has challenges. Life gets in the way. Things get in the way. You can't always practice. You can't always do what you need to do. But our job is to help every single person who comes to us get to where they want to go. What's their destination. My destination is not your destination, your destination not his destination. When people ask me what the success is, so that depends on the person. If you and I go to the gym, you may want to go 7 days a week for an hour and come out like Mr. World, right? Or other person wants to go 3 days a week, half hour, and he's better than doing nothing, and this is good, right? That's his success. Everybody has their own success. So when we talk to our patients, or we more like call them clients, but they're just people, we just encourage them that these are just everyday things. Get back on the horse. If you ever fall off, you can always open up the tablet and do the lesson again. There's no impediment to that. You can do it again and again. And eventually you'll get there. And another thing that really, really helps is introducing them to other fellow people who are going through the same challenges, or people who've been there and overcame it. Like when you met some of the other people who heard their stories saying, listen, they also were had this challenge here and that. It makes you feel, well, they got over it. Look at them today, right? Examples in life. They're very important. So I think people that have gone through Dr. Fluency and succeeded, they feel empowered almost to pass it on, just like you're doing now, but they feel that it's almost like a responsibility to help other people, and it makes them feel proud. We have one young man who's finished the course also about a year ago, and he told me, I do this now, helping people. It's selfish almost for me, because I'm helping them, but by helping them, I'm also getting better myself. And that helps anybody who gets stuck in the middle push through. Plus, we always warn people at the beginning, this takes a year. You're going to have ups and downs. That's why we tell them it's a year, not a month, not two. There's no miracle, like I said before, cure. This requires work for a full year, which you found out.
Yes. Okay, so since you and your brother David both work in the same company, I figure that you might have different approaches to helping people. How do you see those different approaches come to life? And do you guys have disagreements about certain clients and how to approach helping them?
He's my brother. We have disagreements on a lot of things. I'm sure you have a sister, I know. I'm sure you guys have plenty of disagreements. Yes, we have disagreements. We agree on practically on really where we want to be in the company, what we want to do. He's mostly taking care of the patients and training the therapists. We just started finished training a speech therapist who was working in the schools. That's a little bit of an aside story. She told us in schools they would give the kids coloring books and stuff. They didn't know what to do with the kids with dysfluency. And when she went to Columbia, they taught her in the second semester all kinds of methods on dysfluency. And it doesn't really work, do something else. And she realized when she went out to real life and was practicing for years in the schools that they didn't know what to do. And when she found us, and she wanted to start training with us, and now she works for us, and she was like amazed at the miracles. So David's really doing that, and I don't encroach on that area, but I do support. My job is mostly to talk to the clients after and before, encourage them, push them, and if I can help in anything, if I notice something, then I'll pipe up. But otherwise, I keep quiet about that because he's the expert, and I don't want to do that. And so we're more or less on the same page, thank God. We have brother disagreements, but hey, we always tell the little kids who aren't speaking loud enough sometimes in group, we say, talk up like you're going to yell at your brother. So then they talk a little louder. It's pretty funny.
Okay, so one final question. If you could leave the listeners with one key message about speech impediments and dysfluency, what would it be?
It would be that there's hope, that you should have hope. Because up to now, from my research, there was only one school of thought, acceptance, confidence, which you should have. And we have no disagreement with that method. No problem. That's what we should do. But there is also a way to improve your fluency. And we would love anybody that wants to learn about what we do and learn about that Dr. Fluency and see what we do. Our evaluations are free. Our demonstrations are free. We don't charge for people to come and learn about us. We're happy to give hundreds of references out if that's what somebody wanted. So my message to anybody listening is that there's hope. You can give us a call. You can call David. You can reach out to David. He'll put you in touch with us. You can talk to David in person. You can talk to people who've been through our program. And I really hope you do, because there is no reason in the world that you can't improve your fluency, where speaking and talking will be fun. And that's what I want to do. I want it to be fun again. We always tell our clients, whenever somebody's speaking group and somebody says, whether some of them are speaking, solid 9, nobody would know they ever, but my brother says, you get a 10 from me when I see you're having fun speaking. And that's our goal. It shouldn't be a chore. It should be something that is second nature and fun. And I believe it can be done, and I didn't change my life at my age, I'm not a young guy, to do this if I didn't 100% believe that it's possible.
That's a fantastic final message, Eli. Thank you so much for spreading that message of hope, because that is the most important thing to have throughout this process, hope. Thank you very much, Eli, for joining me today. And thank you very much to the listeners for listening to the 7th episode of the Speech Collective podcast. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you guys soon.